All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about the lightweight division and what Gervonta Davis has to say about Devin Haney and Eddie Hearn about their claim that he was ducking them. Let's do that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. I hope everything is going well with you. By the way, before we get into the meat of the video, please, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like the video, thumbs up the video, share the video. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, man. So I was listening to the Brian Custer interview with Gervonta Davis. If you've not checked it out, go to the Last Stand podcast with Brian Custer, and he gives about a half-an-hour interview with Gervonta Davis. I thought it was a very, very good interview. Brian Custer, I don't think there's too many people better at his job than he is. Asks great questions, tries his best to get, people to open up, even if he's got to ask the same question 3 or 4 times. And he did that with Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is a veteran now in these interviews, man, so it's very hard to get anything out of him. But he did get a response to some stuff that was going on related to Devin Haney and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, and some rumors, not rumors, statements going around that Gervonta Davis was ducking Devin Haney because Devin Haney had said that he would be available to step in when ROMERO had pulled out of the fight with Gervonta Davis because of the issues that ROMERO had, right? So, a little bit of soap opera stuff, but the reason I want to talk about it is because around that lightweight division, for at least the last 2 years, a lot of this nonsense has been going on, man. And it pretty much is where, people are trying to set themselves up to be considered the boogeyman of the division and trying to get brownie points and a lot of media press by putting people in a position where they can be accused of ducking, right? So you have Gervonta Davis, who was fighting ROMERO. ROMERO pulls out. Eddie Hearn says that he threw Devin Haney's name in the hat for that fight, to take over for that fight. And of course, what happens is Gervonta Davis winds up fighting Isaac Cruz. So now people come out and say, wow, Gervonta Davis didn't want to fight Devin Haney. He fought this other guy that's not as good as Devin Haney. Devin Haney's a WBC champion. Why wouldn't he fight Devin Haney? Right? And you get a lot of conversation going on about Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney. So Gervonta Davis spoke out about it, and he was like, look, that's a bunch of nonsense. First of all, they never sent anything. Second of all, they were not about to allow Devin Haney to fight me on 2 weeks' notice, right? So he's like, man, that's just all around. That's all around. Doesn't make any sense. Why would Devin Haney fight me on 2 short weeks' notice without a training camp, preparing for a southpaw at my level? Was pretty much what he said. So he was like, look, you never sent me anything. You never did any, we never sat down and had a conversation. And honestly, man, these guys, and they were saying, and I'm not going to say honestly because it's not me saying it, it's Gervonta Davis saying it, and Leonard Ellerby said it. He's like, also, we already had Isaac Cruz on the card just in case something happened to ROMERO or somebody else like that so that we could replace him on this pay-per-view, which makes sense to me because, ROMERO is, that is a pay-per-view slot that is pretty much there for Gervonta Davis and whoever Gervonta Davis wants to fight. ROMERO was not necessarily, essential to it. It wasn't a fight like Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford. It's so just like Manny Pacquiao when Errol Spence Jr. fell out, they had Yordenis Ugas sitting there who was going to be on the card to fill in for it. Just really good preparation and really didn't have anything to do with Gervonta Davis specifically saying, or Mayweather Promotions specifically saying, no, we don't want to fight Devin Haney. That their take is, man, Devin Haney's not in the running. But more importantly, aside from their point of view, looking at it from Devin Haney's point of view and Eddie Hearn's point of view, they knew that they were not going to get that fight, right? So, like, if you just think, like, all right, I know that this is, was it a month left for the fight? maybe it was a month left, 3 weeks or something like that ahead of the fight, because they were like actually in the press conferences and things. So you think, man, okay, 3 weeks from now, would I really be ready to make that fight? Would I really be ready to make that fight in 2 to 3 weeks if you're serious about having Devin Haney actually go in there and beat Gervonta? Now, I'm not saying that Devin Haney could not beat Gervonta Davis if the two of those guys were, if they had a full 12-week or 8-week training camp. They both knew what they were going to do. Devin Haney would have time, to get sparring partners that were diminutive southpaws, that were come forward fighters and all that, and get himself ready and get a game plan together for Gervonta Davis, because that's the way fighters are going about doing it these days. I know back in the day, there used to be fighters used to say, look, I'm just training, to fight anybody, right? Give me anybody, all kind of different sparring partners, because I always want to be ready for whatever type of guy may have to fight. But that's not how these guys are doing it now. These guys are once they get an opponent, they set their whole training regimen, their whole training camp around fighting that particular guy. So the idea that Devin Haney would be available and even willing to do that on 2 weeks' notice doesn't make a lot of sense, man. And what I'm saying, I've been saying this for a while, and look, I don't have any problem with Devin Haney and the way that, what Devin Haney is doing and where he's going in his career. He came out as a young professional with, what do they say? He was the youngest person ever to have his own promotional company, right? Pretty much was 18 years old, had his own promotional company right out the gate. Well, when you say that you have the youngest you're the youngest promoter that there was in boxing, you know what Devin Haney is doing. He is promoting the same way that Eddie Hearn is promoting. And promoters will say and do what they need to do to make sure that they have a lot of press around them and to make sure that their name is getting out there. So for me, and I said this around the Gary Russell Jr. fight, I'm definitely saying this around the Gervonta Davis fight. These are situations where the promotional machine around Devin Haney is selling the idea that particular fighters are ducking him. And I believe with the main intention on causing a lot of press and keeping Devin Haney's name in the press, and therefore keeping his name in front of boxing fans, right? Kind of like what they say, Adrian Bronner, or other people say, all press is good press, and the more they're talking about you, the more they're thinking about you. That's what I believe that was what that was about. Even when, there's conversations ongoing when Leonard Ellerbe said, and Leonard, I don't always like the way that Gervonta Davis is moved from a boxing standpoint. As a boxing fan, I would love to see him fight Teofimo Lopez, fight Shakur Stevenson, fight Devin Haney, and I would love all these guys to get in the ring and fight each other back to back to back. But one thing I will tell you, the sense that I get out of Mayweather Promotions is that they've always been very honest about what they're doing with Gervonta Tank Davis. They're trying to make as many big money fights as they can with Gervonta Davis, and they've not been unabashed about it. And, Gervonta, and I'm not going to, I understand what Gervonta Davis is saying when he's like, look, if you want me to fight the top fighters, look around for the rest of the people in the division. Nobody else in the division, nobody in that top of that division is fighting top-notch fighters for whatever reason. Whether it's a Lomachenko, and Teofimo Lopez getting the franchise title and not fighting Devin Haney, or Teofimo Lopez not giving Lomachenko his rematch, or Ryan Garcia, taking his time off or whatever. There's not anybody really fighting each other in that division. So, if I could throw them all in a pit, I would. But I will say for sure that I don't believe that a primary reason for the fight not happening for Gervonta Davis is that Gervonta Davis is worried about losing to Devin Haney, or that Gervonta Davis is worried about losing to Teofimo Lopez, or worried about losing to Ryan Garcia. I don't believe that. I believe that those guys are trying to make, just like what they said, they are trying to make money in each one of their fights. Right now they can sell out arena by themselves, right? They can sell out arena by themselves. They can have pay-per-views, without high cost opponents. And until the other guys in that division get their name to a point, to a point where peanut butter make, like Reese's cups, where peanut butter and chocolate mix. That's when those fights are going to start, or those fights are going to happen. And I don't think it's a lot different than what's going on with Canelo and what other people are saying about the, Demetrius Andrade and Charlo needing to fight each other, and Demetrius Bivol and Beterbiev needing to fight each other. Now, I'm not saying that means that Gervonta Davis should just continue on and never fight any competition in his fights. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, man, I mean, they're not lying about what they're doing, and I don't believe that it has anything to do with them not believing Gervonta Davis can beat these guys, because quite honestly, man, between Gervonta and Shakur Stevenson, like, that's the competition at the top of that division for me as far as who the best fighters are around that weight class. The other guys, I think Gervonta Davis can beat them, or those guys are going to wind up being at 140 or 147 before too long anyway. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.